So, I've been getting questions concerning should I buy 206 or should I buy 207? Which one? I probably must have done a video on that, but I don't know if it was a dedicated one on those two cars. Probably, probably tweeted it in one of these videos I normally do, discussing other subjects. So, I prefer 207 over 206. For me, I don't really understand why people like that 206 that much, but I'll give you reasons why I prefer 207 over 206. Number one, people tend to go for 206 because of their simplicity. Okay, so when you talk about simplicity, usually it's about the engine, especially the one with 1.4 liter engine. So the one with the 1.4 liter engine, when it comes to maintenance costs, generally the best in terms of simplicity. Yeah, that's the one I will recommend. Doesn't have much power. It consumes almost the least among the 206. All round, it's just the best. Like I said, it's not meant for performance. So, however, the 207 has an edge over 206 because 207 has that same engine, and now with an improved suspension, electronics, every other thing. I just prefer 207. It doesn't mean 207 doesn't have its own issues. That everything is perfect on it, but compared to what 206 users experience, I prefer 206. So the 206, I prefer 207. So when it comes to recommending, I always say people go for 207 with 1.4 liter engine. You find the 206, which is TU 3JP engine, or you go for 207 with TU5JP4, which is 1.6 liter, which is you also find in 206, but this also in 307. If I both engines, you find it in both 206 and 307. So these are the reasons why I prefer 207. It doesn't mean 207 doesn't have other engines, petrol engines and diesel, but when it comes to enjoying the simplicity, the durability, and dependability that people go for in 206, you get it in 207 with an additional benefits. You see where I'm coming from, that 206 doesn't possess. Now there's a place where I would recommend 206. If you are going for power, performance, yeah, I will tell you go for 206. Because it doesn't mean 207 doesn't have that performance versions as well. For example, we have the 207 GTR, which is a turbocharged engine. It has about approximately 175 horsepower. Torque is about 260 Newton. The 206 GTR or RC, just 206 with the 180 HP engine, which is EW10J4S. That one is also cool, which is, I prefer it, even though the 207 GTR has more power. No, it's quicker. Let me put it, it's quicker. In fact, I think it has more power than the 206 GTR RC with that 2.0 liter 180 horsepower engine. It has more power. You could say the 206 has 180 horsepower, around 177, while the GTI in 207 has 175. But the torque makes that difference. By that I mean the torque of GTI is about 207 GTI is about 260 Nm, while that of the 206 is 202. That engine really lacks torque. I've driven it many times on 206 and 307. The power is there, horsepower, but the torque, not really that much. In fact, the 207 GTI kicks power, the torque kicks in, the maximum power, the 260 Nm kicks in around less than 2000 RPM, while that of 206, you get the 202 Nm almost at 5000 RPM. So you can't compare both. So that's why I say, no matter how you look at it, the 207 GTI is faster, it has more power. It's quicker, I meant, it has more power. However, both are almost the same performance range in terms of quickness. They are both 7 seconds car. So I don't see much difference. I mean, let's assume the 207 GTI has 2 seconds, is 2 seconds quicker than the 206 GTI or so. What's the difference? Unless you intend to be doing race with the car. So this is why I prefer the 206 in terms of performance is, or I would recommend, not necessarily I prefer. It's just because of the simplicity. It's much simpler in terms of maintenance because of the engine than the 207 GTI. It's a turbo engine, and those they are early turbo engines. Those early EPC turbo engines that Peugeot used. Trust me, those ones not funny. So I would advise stay away from 207 GTI. I'm yet to see anybody that doesn't have one issue or the other with that engine. I'm not talking you solve it today, it goes away for a long time. This one, just stay away from that engine. It would have made sense if there are 206 and no performance one. I would say, okay, yeah, you deal with whatever that comes with the 207 GTI. Go for the, but 206 actually has the same power. So, but just that, if you are after just, you don't care much about power or anything, hey, come on, go for GTI. No, go for 207. It's just a better option for you. The suspension is better. The 206 rear, I just don't like 206 because of the suspension. That rear cross member, what Nigerians call camber, locally, well, generally it's also known as camber, sort of. It's a mess. Every once in a while it could fail on you, and once it fails, you have to change everything at the back. At least that's the major component at the back. You can see you choose to use your shock absorbers, depending on what is attached, your brake drum, your brake disc, or all those stuffs. But it's just a big weakness as far as 206 is concerned. Likewise, the front suspension part of the 206 is also a mess or horrible to work on, especially if you have to change the front wishbone or change what we also regard as lower arm. I just don't like 206 for the suspension sake. The AC, I could say the AC might cool better than the 207, because you use that AC system in 406. 207, it's almost the same with 407. So their AC is not necessarily the best in terms of the chilling effect. But it chills when it chills, when it's working. So there's another car I could also recommend, 206 Plus. The 206 Plus comes with that same 1.4 liter engine you find 206 is much better. You see, if it must be 206, then go for 206 Plus. It has better looks, exterior, interior. And that's one of the things I prefer 207 for. So the interior is way much better in terms of lookness, as in attractiveness. Is much better to sit in. It's more relaxing than even 206. I'm not sure, but it appears to even look bigger. In terms of tall people like us, I was much more comfortable. Each time I was driving through, I've driven a lot of 207, and each time I felt comfortable behind the steering wheel. So that's where I'm coming from. So that's the reason I prefer that. And the interior is not the type that tomorrow you start considering, how do you update the interior to look newer, look modern. No, it does in 207. Doesn't mean it looks like 2025 interior car produced 2025. It's way ahead of 206 in terms of you want a modern look. You are better off. I'm telling you, as a technician, someone that repairs boats, you are better off. The only place I will ask you to Same way is the ones with EP6 engines. So I would rather you go for the one with 1.4 liter, which is TU3JP, 1.6 liter, which is TU5JP4, and every other one. Hey, you're on your own. I'm not saying I don't repair those engines. Talking of VTR 120, THP engine, I do. But when you compare it to 206 with similar power, the maintenance cost difference is just crazy. You see where I'm coming from. So you are better bet. Just go for this engine in 206, in 207. The two are recommended. TU3JP, TU5JP4, you enjoy it. The only car I will say 208 is also, it's just I don't know more. I'm not driven 208, so I don't really want to comment much on that. But the reason why I don't really like that most of the 208 is the pure tech engine Peugeot mounted on them wasn't the best at that time. Suffer some issue. It depends on who is using the car. You can actually monitor to know when their timing belts start to, those pure tech engine had those weight timing belts, which can damage your engine at some point if you don't be on the lookout for when they start degrading. Otherwise, it will go and the debris will go and block your oil pump strainer, and then you start having lack of lubrication issue. So, but personally, if you must be turbo engine between 206 plus 207 and 208, I would recommend you go for 208. 208 had the improved THP engine, so that's where I would say if you must be turbo engine, then go for 208. In fact, the 208 GTI has way more power than this other three, the 206 plus and the 207 GTI. So you're better off with 208. But I'm not driven to 208. I'm not sat inside. But personally, let me tell you guys, of all these three that I mentioned, on the appearance, the 207C wins. 207 looks way much better. In fact, 207 even looks better than 308. Look at this car. This is a 308 T7. It looks better. Of course, in fact, the most attractive one is even the facelifted 207. It looks way more better than even 308 that's supposed to be bigger and better refined and better, equipped and the rest. So 207 looks more better for me. Even 206 Plus looks way more better than 206. 206, I don't know, some people like the appearance, I don't. I'm not saying it's an ugly vehicle, just when you look at other options, and you'll be surprised at the price of 207. You'll be surprised that it might be, I don't know the current price today, but it might be within the same price of 206. I don't know, maybe a little bit higher. But if you're in Nigeria, I would recommend go for 207. However, let it be those engines I recommend, especially if you can afford them. I think you can. If you can afford 206, I will tell you, if you can afford 206, like foreign use, then you can afford 207. Just have to be on the lookout. The only caveat I will put is most of the 207 you see on Nigeria roads or at car dealers are actually converted from the other engines. Some of these engines, I tell you, that maintenance cost is higher. They convert them to these two engine models I mentioned, or I recommend the 207, which is TU3JP and TU5JP for the 1.4 and the 1.6 liter. So be on the lookout. If the conversions were not done correctly, that's where you have a problem. You'll be wondering, but Lion King recommended these two engines in 207, which I went for, and now I'm having problems. Why? Be careful, because the conversion will not be with the engine, but with the electrical part of the conversion. That's where some will mix it up. So that's why I tell you, do your research well before you make the purchase, so be sure that's the engine the car came with. Then if they did the conversion, check whether they did it properly. As of time I recommended 207, they converted from diesel to TU5JP4, which is one of the engines I recommend in 207. Trust me, I couldn't help but to recommend the car for people to purchase, because I mean the conversion was done very well. The only issue I realized when I was inspecting the car was the map sensor was not working. So I asked the seller to first of all change the map sensor to see if it will work. So that if it doesn't work, it means the issue was probably from the conversion. It wasn't connected to work with the engine ECU. So he claimed later that he did it, he changed it and it started working before he sold the car. I wouldn't know whether that was true. But other than that, man, the car was working well, very quick. No black smoke, nothing. And another downside of the conversion was the fan couldn't work as factory. So they had to now run straight to the trigger to the alternator or something. So it comes on once you switch on ignition or you start the car. So that's one of the disadvantages of doing that kind of conversion. If I were the one that did the conversion, if I can't make it to work as factory, as an aftermarket fan trigger I can introduce, it will work as factory, but not with the engine ECU. It will now work with that module, so it will come up at the normal temperature I want it to. Goes off at that same temperature, but everybody is different. So but my point is, be careful if you are going for 207. Some of the ones you see with that engine they call 206 engine, 307 engine, doesn't necessarily mean that's what they were produced with, because that's what they realized that give less headache on 207, this engine. So they now convert the ones that come with different engines, they convert it and claim that it wasn't conversion. But people like us who are experts in this brand called Peugeot can easily detect that. So you can actually contact me on that. I'll do the inspection for you or advise you, even if the car is not in Nigeria, not in Abuja, I meant. Yeah, you can do it. All I need is I'll check the do the comparison between the VIN and the what is in the engine bay. I'll tell you, okay, it's converted, do your check well or walk away. Alright, so of course it's not for free, you have to pay in that case. So other than that, yeah, I just want 207 is much better for me, but when it comes to power, performance, what I meant, and then with lower maintenance costs, then go for 206 and then live with the annoyance of suspension issues or the rear cross member issue, which they call beam. I mean, if that is what it takes to enjoy that kind of small car with that kind of power, why not? But stay away from 207 with those EPCs engines. Doesn't mean people don't enjoy them, but at what cost? That's where I'm coming from. When you have a better option, or just go to 208 with 208 GTI especially. If you like the look, I say like the look of 207 than that 208. I'm talking about the first generation 208, not the later ones. I'm talking those ones produced from 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any comment, put it in the comment section, and see how it goes. Alright, till the next video.